Hi! Right, it's time to look back on the books that I read in May. And I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I read 10. And I've had a good time reading them, actually. I've read some very varied books, very different books. I started off the month by finishing the Carnegie shortlist. So this one, On Midnight Beach by Marie-Louise Fitzpatrick, the very last one off the Carnegie Medal shortlist. And this one was about, it's a romance about Emma and Dog Cullen, and set in Ireland, and about these two characters who live on the coast, and a dolphin appears in their bay, and suddenly the tourists are rushing to this quiet little resort to see the dolphin. Along the coast there is another bay, and they're quite jealous because they haven't got the dolphin, and so you've got the rivalry between the two bays. So that was that one for the Carnegie. And you'll see on one of my other videos I have finally done the video of all the shortlisted books, and the one that told you the one that I think should win. The next book that I read was one that I was sent by NetGalley, and it's by Lionel Shriver, Should We Stay or Should We Go? And this was such an interesting read. The idea was that you've got almost 12 endings. The two characters, Kay and Cyril decides that that when they are 80, they should commit suicide, because after the age of 80 you become a drain on society's resources. And so you get 12 versions of what happens when they are 80. 12 endings. And some of them are scary, some are tragic, it is such good fun, this book. It asks lots of questions, but it's such good fun. Then we moved on to, what did we move on to? Oh, hang on, I've lost my page. European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodora Goss. And this was the second in the Athena Club mysteries. And we are back in the Victorian era with the daughters of all the characters that we've grown up with. Frankenstein's daughter, Dr. Jekyll's daughter, Mr. Hyde's daughter, and it's joining these characters on their next adventure when they go off to rescue Lucinda Van Helsing, the daughter of Van Helsing from the Dracula story. So you've got, what sort of vibes are in that book, and that is a romp through various cities. It starts with a kidnapping, you've got a whole range of new characters, you've got a bit of romance, you've got road trips, you've got adventure. A really good read. It's a very long read, this one. It's over 700 pages, but it moves along at a fair pace, and it's enjoyable. The next one, again, another NetGalley one, and this was by Alex Michaelides, and it's called The Maidens. He wrote Silent Patient, which I still haven't got around to reading. And this weaves Greek mythology in with a murder. And you've got Mariana, who is a group therapist, dashing off to Cambridge when her niece telephones her to say that her best friend has gone missing and is presumed dead because a body has been found. And Mariana arrives in Cambridge, and she sets out to prove who the murderer is, because she's met the guy that she thinks has done it, and so she sets out to prove the murder. And it's a book that totally misdirects you. You get sent in all sorts of different directions. Lovely book. Next one, I read this one on a train. We went off to see my son in London. So I took along good old Sophocles, and I read Antigone, because it's years since I'd read Antigone. And I thought, well, yeah, we'll read a bit of a Greek while I'm on the train. So that's Antigone, and the story of a woman who defies the king by burying her brother, who has been classed as a traitor, arguing that, you know, it goes against the gods not to bury, so she gets sentenced to death. So that was a bit of classical Greek that I read. After that one, I stayed in the Greek theme, because I moved on to Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, which is a retelling of the Trojan War from the perspective of Briseis, who was the trophy given to Achilles after he'd butchered her father and brothers. And it's the story of the war from her perspective. Love this one. I love anything to do with Greek and Roman retellings. Absolutely super this one was. You get her perspective of the war, and you get a bit of Achilles' character as well. Great book. What else did I read? Then I moved on to another NetGalley, and this one comes out this month in June, and it was The Hummingbird by Sandro Verenesi. And this is my book of the month. This is the book that I think is the best book that I've read this month in May. This was the one for me. And it's a very gentle book, and it is touchingly beautiful. And you've got timelines from 1970s right up to 2036. And it deals with love, it deals with loss, it deals with tragedy. And it's a story of Marco, who, like hummingbirds, who beat their wings 70 times a second to stay still. He is a man who stays still, and everything moves around him. Beautiful book, and that is my book of the month. We moved on to a cracking murder mystery, and again another NetGalley one. The 22 Murders of Madison May by Max Barry, and this is a murder that goes across various different universes, sort of multiverses, because the characters go from one universe to another universe to another universe, and there's something slightly different in every universe, and it is such good fun to read. And there are some funny episodes when one of the main characters, Felicity, just keeps coming across people in these different universes and can't quite get her head around what's different about them and what's changed, and hilarious, some of these bits. Absolutely a lovely murder mystery. Love that one. Then we moved on to On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, and this was a book that I picked up because I've heard so much about it, and I thought, well, yeah, it's about time I actually got around to reading it. The language in this, you have got some beautiful language, really poetic language, and it's the story of a little dog who has written to his mother, and it's the letter of his life. It talks about being a refugee in America because his family are Vietnamese and they moved to America. It's a story of, he tells the story of his mother, his grandmother, his own life and his first love. And the language in there is stunning, some of it. So that is that one. And it's a letter that he knows will never be read by his mother because she's illiterate. And it gives him the freedom to talk about things that he probably wouldn't even be able to tell her if he was talking to her. So it gives him the freedom to express everything that is inside him. And the final book of the month of the month of May, another NetGalley, and it's After the Silence by Louise O'Neill. Again, it's a murder mystery, but it's a murder with a difference. Well, it's not different in the way that the murder is not, in my opinion anyway, it is not the focus of the book. It deals with so much more. It deals with abuse and domestic violence, and it deals with a lot more than just who killed the girl. So those are all the books that I read in May. My number one was The Hummingbird, was this by Sandro Verenesi. So look out for that one when it comes out, and I'm pretty sure it comes out in this month. But I'll just pop that in the description box down below just to confirm. So let's see what sort of treats I've got coming up this month in June, and I'll catch you later. So happy reading, and bye.